So I'm down here on my own this week. It's pretty nice though, look at this. Ooh. Hugh gets frustrated with me sometimes because he says that I'm too optimistic. He calls it misplaced optimism. He says that I go into things saying, I can do that, without any real understanding about what I'm taking on. Maybe true, but I believe that there are some jobs, some situations where if we didn't go into it with a high level of optimism, the job would never even get started in the first place. This is a perfect example, our Teak deck. When we first saw the boat, one of the things we really liked about it was this beautiful deck. See? However, when the survey report came back, it said that the deck was completely shot. I think taking the deck off is quite important because we can see if there's any hidden surprises that we didn't know about. We can get things repaired so that when we do go off around the world, we know that we've done everything we can. We could get someone else to take the Teak deck off, but to save money, we're going to do it ourselves. Yeah, this was our first mistake. We were quoted £2,000 for somebody else to take this deck off, and they would have taken 2 weeks. This footage was taken back in October 2020, and a year later, we've only just completed the task. So I've watched a lot of YouTube videos on taking Teak decks off, and I'm hoping that with a combination of all of those different videos that I will be able to successfully remove this deck. I'm going to have a little go today, a little play, and see what we're dealing with. Job number 1, you see all these things here? Well, under each one of these is a screw. Now, I've watched some videos and they say if you get a drill bit that's a bit bigger than that and drill down, then you can easily pop that head off. And there's the screw. That has worked pretty well. So, I now have the wonderful job of drilling around every single plug on this boat, and I don't know how many there are, so wish me luck with that. That's job 1. I don't believe in regrets. No one sets out to have them. You make the best decision that you can at the time based on the information that you have. I had carried out extensive research and I genuinely thought that I could remove the deck myself in no time. I think the problem was that I only had small windows of time due to lockdowns and the weather. That's why we built the winter cover. Another thing that Hugh regrets, but I don't. A few months went by and I was able to go back and do some more work on the deck. This time I'd done a bit more research and I upgraded my tools. The old cutting tool used to get quite hot, so I'd have to stop quite a lot. This was a better cutter, however, it didn't work as well because it kept slipping. This is my proudest moment. Problem solving, number 1 by me. Just made this jig. Da, da, da. So I pre-drilled a hole into a piece of wood, then I was able to place this piece of wood down on the deck and it basically held the cutter in place and stopped it from slipping around. Then it was just a case of removing all the screws, every single one. I am pretty sick of screws now. That's not even a third of the boat done yet. And the crowd went wild. She did it. She's done. A third of the boat. All screws out. Pleased. More time passed, more lockdowns, but it gave me time to think and come up with new ideas. I decided to ditch the methodical approach and get out the hammer and chisel and the crowbar and just go for a bit of good old-fashioned brute force. We are lucky enough to have some really good friends. This is my bandmate Kelvin. Do you know what happens when you get 2 musicians on a job? Songs from the shows. Just found a little hole in the deck, under the deck. Wonder what that was for. One more day before the storm. Calvin's doing his dinner. My dinner on the go. Extreme dining.
This is not a joke, is it?
Tent fell down in the night, so I have to fix that before I can start with the jobs. You probably can't see. Hang on. Falling down tent. But we did it. We fixed it and we carried on. Here we are again. This bit I'm doing now, like, I don't know what it was stuck on with, but it's like literally only coming off a splinter at a time. But that's what we're dealing with. But it's a nice sunny day. I'm quite glad the tent's blown down because it means we get like this lovely view, this lovely vista to work with. It's all good. A few more weeks passed and I was back on my own, and this time I had to remove all the deck hardware before I could finish taking up the board. So I've got to quickly learn how to remove all the deck hardware. Just taking this off. It's obviously where the ropes run through when you're sailing. But like, I unscrewed the screws and unscrewed the screws and unscrewed the screws. Then I suddenly remembered Hugh telling me something about it needed to be unscrewed from underneath. So I did. There was like bolts there, all unscrewed it. But it's like quite comforting to know how like solid these things are, kind of built into the deck. So when you're sailing along, they can't just fly off and ping off. It's pretty secure. I've got to take all this ceiling apart in order to get to the winch. But it means now I know more about the boat, I know more about the ceiling and how it all operates and how it all goes together and how all the winches are on. And I'm finding it quite empowering, actually. It's quite cool. I'm really enjoying myself. So I'm not the best at taking things apart. This just fell down on my head because I didn't unscrew that properly. But that's all good, I'm fine. And I've found the winch. It was all going so well. I've watched many videos, taken off things I can take off, and now it says I just need to, this is supposed to just lift off, but it doesn't just lift off. So I don't know what to do now. New plan. Ooh, not fall over. New plan. It's hammer time. Hammering these from underneath. Right, now I'm going to try and crowbar it off at the top. Yay! Oh, I'm delighted with myself and also with the lovely Matt Holt giving advice on FaceTime. Thank you, Matt. I just now had to locate where the two winches were bolted underneath the deck. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But it makes no sense. It just makes zero sense. It makes no sense. I'm going mad. So I found them. They are up here in this tiny, tiny hole. I'm going to have to try and work with that because I don't want to be having to take off all of this panel with the engine wires on. Right, through the tiny hole we go. Today I'm working on this bit, and this was when I first started doing the deck. I took all of the screws out of here, and now look, I've just got that long piece out. This deck side is really easy, so I think I messed up really when I decided not to take any more screws out, because actually probably would have made the job a lot easier. This is it. This is the final bit I've got to take off, and then all the deck will have been removed. All is done. And there we have it, 10 months and the deck was removed. So you could argue that paying someone £2,000 to do it in 2 weeks seems like a bit of a bargain on reflection. But hear me out with my level of enthusiasm and optimism.
I think that the experience I've gained and the confidence and the pride and the sense of achievement is worth way more than getting someone else to do it for me. Maybe.